What if the two most powerful nations in the world, the USA and China, were locked in a Cold War? What would be the root causes? Let's take a deep dive into this riveting narrative of power, ideology, and global dominance. The genesis of the Cold War between the USA and China can be traced back to a clash of ideologies. The USA, a beacon of capitalism, stands for free markets, individualism, and democracy. On the other hand, China, a stronghold of communism, champions state-controlled economy, collectivism, and one-party rule. This ideological divide sets the stage for a long-standing rivalry, as each power seeks to promote its system of governance worldwide. The Korean War, fought in the early 1950s, was the first significant event that brought these ideological differences to the forefront. The USA, under the aegis of the United Nations, sided with South Korea, a nascent democracy, while China threw its weight behind North Korea, a budding communist state. This war marked the beginning of a protracted Cold War that would span decades. The Vietnam War further intensified this rivalry. The USA's involvement in Vietnam was aimed at halting the spread of communism in Southeast Asia, a move that China viewed as an encroachment on its sphere of influence. This war amplified the ideological clash between the USA and China, further cementing their roles as opposing superpowers in a bipolar world order. The Cuban Missile Crisis, albeit primarily a showdown between the USA and the Soviet Union, also had implications for the USA-China Cold War. China perceived the USA's strong stance against the Soviet Union as a sign of its willingness to confront communist powers, thereby making China a potential target. However, it wasn't just ideological differences that fueled this Cold War. Geopolitics and global power dynamics played a significant role too. In the post-World War II era, the USA emerged as a global superpower, wielding considerable influence over international institutions and global decision-making. China, on the other hand, was on a quest to rise from the ashes of its century of humiliation and reclaim its status as a major world power. This led to a power struggle between the two nations, each vying for global dominance. The roots of the Cold War are deeply embedded in the contrasting ideologies and the competition for global dominance. As we proceed, we'll delve deeper into the intensification of this Cold War, the role of cybersecurity, the rising power of China, and the current situation and future prospects. Stay tuned. As the decades rolled on, the Cold War took a turn for the worse. But how did it become this intense? The escalation can be traced back to a myriad of factors: the arms race, the space race, and proxy wars, to name a few. But one of the most intriguing and clandestine aspects was the role of intelligence agencies. The intelligence apparatus of both nations was instrumental in fueling this conflict. These agencies were not just passive observers, they were active participants, conducting operations that significantly impacted the relationship between the two nations. Let's delve into some of these incidents. One of the most notable examples is the Havana Syndrome, a mysterious health attack on American diplomats. Over 200 diplomats were affected, with new incidents reported in countries like Colombia, Germany, and Vietnam. The cause remains unknown, and the response from the State Department was met with criticism from lawmakers and diplomats. This incident added another layer of tension to the already strained relations. In another instance, the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, added Russia's A.O. Kaspersky Lab, along with China Telecom and China Mobile International USA, to its list of communications equipment and service providers deemed threats to U.S. national security. This decision was aimed at securing U.S. networks from potential espionage and harm by state-backed entities from China and Russia. Then there's the case of the Russian Federal Security Service accusing the U.S. of hacking thousands of Apple iPhones, including those in Russia and embassies of NATO countries. While the FSB provided no evidence, it's a testament to the high stakes and sophisticated nature of these intelligence operations. The arms race and space race were public displays of power, but these intelligence operations were the silent battles fought in the shadows. They were the unseen maneuvers that could tip the balance of power. The Cold War, once a simmering conflict, was now a full-blown rivalry, with both nations using every weapon in their arsenal to gain the upper hand. But as we'll see in the next scene, this conflict would soon take a digital turn, introducing a new battleground in the form of cybersecurity. In the age of digital warfare, cybersecurity has become a crucial battleground. But how have the USA and China used it to their advantage? The digital arena has become a hotbed for espionage, with both nations employing cyber tactics to gain an upper hand. Take, for instance, the inclusion of Russia's A.O. Kaspersky Lab and China Telecom in the Federal Communications Commission's list of threats to U.S. national security. This move was aimed at securing U.S. networks from potential espionage and harm by state-backed entities from China and Russia. But the accusations go both ways. The Russian Federal Security Service, for example, claimed that the U.S. had hacked thousands of Apple iPhones, including those in Russia and embassies of NATO countries. While the FSB provided no evidence for its claims, it's clear that both nations are using cybersecurity as a form of digital warfare, with allegations and counter-allegations flying thick and fast. The implications of these incidents on national security are profound. Cyber espionage can lead to the exposure of sensitive information, potentially compromising national security and causing significant economic damage. This digital arms race is a testament to the growing importance of cybersecurity in the modern era of warfare. Yet, despite the inherent risks, cybersecurity also presents opportunities for both nations. By strengthening their cyber defenses, they can protect their critical infrastructure, safeguard their national security, and gain a strategic advantage over their adversary. It's a complex game of digital chess, with both nations constantly evolving their strategies to outwit the other. The cyber battleground is rife with potential threats, making cybersecurity a vital aspect of the Cold War. As the USA and China continue to vie for global dominance, the role of cybersecurity will only grow in importance. It's a brave new world, where the battle lines are drawn not on the ground, but in the virtual realm. And in this realm, the nation with the most robust cyber defenses may just have the upper hand. China's growing economy has been a source of concern for the USA, but how has it contributed to the Cold War? In the past few decades, China has experienced a meteoric rise to become the world's largest manufacturer and the second largest economy. This rapid growth has turned the country into a global powerhouse, reshaping the international order and challenging the USA's long-held dominance. China's economic success story began with economic reforms in the late 70s. These reforms transformed the country from a closed, centrally planned system to a more market-oriented one. The result was a period of extraordinary economic growth, lifting hundreds of millions out of poverty and turning China into a key player in the global economy. This economic rise didn't just stop at manufacturing. China has become a significant player in technology, finance, and even space exploration. It has also been investing heavily in infrastructure projects around the world, extending its influence far beyond its borders. However, this rapid economic growth has not been without its challenges. The country has faced issues like environmental degradation, income inequality, and an aging population. But despite these challenges, China's economic rise has been nothing short of remarkable. So how has this affected the USA-China relationship? Well, China's economic rise has led to a shift in global power dynamics. The USA, long accustomed to being the world's leading economic power, now finds itself contending with a formidable competitor. This competition extends beyond just economics. It's about influence, leadership, and the shaping of the global order. There's also a growing concern in the USA about China's trade practices. Issues such as intellectual property theft, forced technology transfers, and unfair trade practices have been sources of tension between the two countries. These economic disputes have added a new layer of complexity to their relationship, contributing to the ongoing Cold War. China's economic rise has added a new dimension to the Cold War, further complicating the already strained relationship. As China continues to grow and assert its place in the world, the dynamics of this Cold War are likely to continue evolving. And as we look to the future, one thing is clear: the relationship between these two global powers will play a defining role in shaping the world of the 21st century. The Cold War has left a lasting impact on the USA-China relationship. But where do we stand today, and what does the future hold? The Cold War between the United States and China has taken a new turn in the 21st century, with both nations investing heavily in their military capabilities. In 2022, a record high in global military spending was achieved, with the US leading the charge, allocating a staggering $877 billion, accounting for nearly 40% of the global total. This rise in military expenditure reflects an increasingly insecure world, with states strengthening their military capabilities in response to a deteriorating security environment. In parallel, cyber warfare has become a crucial battleground. Recent allegations by Russia's Federal Security Service accusing the US of hacking thousands of iPhones, including those in embassies of NATO countries and post-Soviet states, underline the complexity and the stakes of this new form of warfare. The US, in turn, has added Russia's A.O. Kaspersky Lab to its list of communication equipment and service providers deemed threats to national security, highlighting the ongoing tension and suspicion in the digital realm. Meanwhile, China's economic growth is another significant factor in this Cold War. Despite challenges such as high raw material prices, power cuts, and production bottlenecks, China's factory activity continues to grow, albeit slightly. This economic prowess, combined with increased direct investment by countries like Germany, makes China's rising power a force to be reckoned with. Looking ahead, the future of this Cold War is uncertain. The increasing dependence of various economies on China, coupled with the escalating military spending and cyber warfare, point to a conflict that is far from resolution. The role of other countries and alliances such as NATO will also be crucial in determining the course of this conflict. Other factors like pandemic preparedness, as we've seen in the wake of COVID-19, could also play a significant role. As the probability of novel disease outbreaks is expected to triple in the next few decades, how nations respond to such crises could have ramifications for their global standing and influence. The future of the USA-China Cold War is uncertain, with both nations continuing to vie for global dominance. It is a conflict that will undoubtedly shape the course of the 21st century.